What if school wasn't really about memorizing a bunch of facts, but about building skills you can actually use in the real world? Well, that's a huge shift happening in Spain right now. They've rolled out a totally transformative new education law called LOLOE, and it completely rethinks what learning's all about. So today, we're going to dive into the blueprint.
So let's start with a big question, one that everyone's asking. In a world with AI everywhere and constant change, what skills are truly essential for a young person to succeed? Is it still about memorizing historical dates and math formulas, or is it something else entirely? Well, Spain's official answer, laid out in this royal decree, is a pretty bold departure from the old ways. The core idea is simple, but it's profound. Education is no longer just about stuffing your head with knowledge. It's all about developing the ability to apply that knowledge in real life.
Now, this new vision for education, well, it kind of comes with its own language. To really get what they're doing, we need to understand three key terms that are at the heart of everything.
First up, you've got competencias clave, which basically means key competences. The best way to think about these is like a skill passport. These are the absolute must-have abilities a student needs to have stamped in their passport by the time they graduate, proving they're actually ready for what comes next.
So, how do you get those stamps in your passport? Well, that's where competencias específicas, or specific competences, come in. These are the practical, hands-on abilities you develop inside each subject. So for example, history class isn't just about learning dates anymore. It's about using historical analysis to build that bigger key competence of being a good citizen. See how that works?
And I know what you're thinking. What about all the traditional stuff? The facts, the figures, the content. That's now called saberes básicos, or basic knowledge. But here's the crucial part. That knowledge isn't gone. It's just been repurposed. It's no longer the final destination. It's now the raw material, the very building blocks used to develop those bigger, more important competences.
So, what are these 8 key competences that make up this skill passport? Let's break them down.
And here they are. You've got everything from linguistic and digital skills to STEM, citizenship, and even entrepreneurial skills. This is the whole package, the holistic skill set that the law says is absolutely non-negotiable for a modern citizen. Just look how broad they are. They cover everything from how we communicate to self-awareness and cultural expression.
So, which of these 8 is the most important one? Which one do schools focus on first? The answer is none of them. And that's a huge point. There is zero hierarchy here. The law makes it crystal clear. All 8 competencies are equally important, and they're designed to be developed all at the same time across all the different subjects. They're all interconnected, not some checklist you tick off one by one.
Okay, this all sounds pretty good in theory, right? But what does it actually look like in a real classroom? Let's use a perfect case study to see how this all works in practice: learning a foreign language. So the foreign language curriculum is now built on 3 core pillars. First, there's communication, the basic skills of understanding and speaking. Second is plurilingualism, and this is really interesting. It's about thinking about how different languages work and connect to each other. And third, interculturality, using language as a bridge to understand and actually respect different cultures. And you can see the progression so clearly. Check out this example for that plurilingual competence. In primary school, a student is guided to make simple transfers between languages. But by the end of their basic education, they're expected to strategically use those transfers all on their own as a tool to communicate better and grow their own personal language toolkit. It's a really clear pathway from guided learning to independent skill. And this is where you really see the power of this new model. A single task in a language class, let's say researching a foreign holiday online, is no longer just a language exercise. It's simultaneously building their linguistic skills, their digital skills, their citizen skills, and their cultural awareness. One activity develops a whole range of competencies at once. So, if the goal of learning has changed this dramatically, how on earth do you grade it? It makes sense that the assessment system had to get a major overhaul too.
The new system is actually incredibly direct. Every single specific competence, like, say, produce original texts, is now directly tied to these clear, observable evaluation criteria. These criteria spell out exactly what a student is expected to be able to do to prove they have the skill, like expressing simple ideas out loud or writing a clear, brief text. No more guessing.
And this brings us to the most crucial point about testing. The big shift is away from evaluating memorization and toward evaluating desempeños, which means performances. Can the student actually use their knowledge to get something done? Can they demonstrate the skill in a real-world type of scenario?
That's the new measure of success.
So, when you put all of these pieces together, the new vocabulary, the 8 key skills, the new way of teaching and testing, what's the end goal? What kind of person is this entire system designed to help create?
This quote, straight from the decree itself, really says it all. The whole point is to help students learn to practice an independent, active, and committed citizenship. It's about getting them ready for a world that is, without a doubt, global, intercultural, and requires all of us to navigate multiple languages and different points of view.
So, the final takeaway is pretty clear. This isn't just some minor update to the curriculum. It's a fundamental blueprint for creating a new kind of student, one who is adaptable, curious, a lifelong learner, someone who's equipped not just with facts, but with the skills to face the very real challenges and opportunities of our time.
It's a really bold and complex vision, moving education away from that old industrial age model and towards something completely new. Which, of course, leaves us all with one big question to think about. Is this the educational model we really need to build the future?